parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. All right, welcome back from lunch, ladies and gentlemen. We're still in the state's case in chief. State, who's your next witness?
James McDonald.
McDonald or McConnell? McDonald.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
James McDonald, James McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Paul, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McDonald, it's fair to say that you're here because of a court order. Is that right?
Correct.
That you didn't volunteer to come or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay. But you were instructed by a court that you had to attend.
Yes.
I want to ask you about September 7th, 1996. Were you at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Club 662?
It was a club that Suge bought, and we operated it. When he opened, I was head of security through the neighborhood. Just a place to go and hang out.
Did the number 662 mean anything?
Well, to the new guys, that was part of our neighborhood, 662,
Okay.
MOB.
Okay, MOB. And when you say MOB, there used to be, before Apple iPhones and those types of things, when you had to have landlines and you pressed numbers,
662, yeah.
662, there would be letters under those numbers, and M and O would be under 6. Is that right?
Right. Right.
And B would be under 2?
Yes,
So 662 would be MOB.
yes.
Okay. When you talk about Suge, are you talking about Suge Knight?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Suge?
He lived in my neighborhood.
And is that in Compton?
Yes.
When you were at Club 662, you said you were head of security.
Yes.
Was somebody by the name of Reggie Wright Jr. there with you?
Not at that time.
No?
No.
When was he with you?
I got out of prison in 1988. Suge came and got me in 1988. Like 4 days from coming home. Started another company, Fern Hill Records. Then Death Row Records came. Soon as Death Row was launched, Reggie came a few months after that.
Okay, so we're talking about the start of Death Row Records. Reggie wasn't part of Death Row Records initially, but you were.
Yes.
And then Suge Knight, was he the boss of Death Row Records?
Yes.
Okay. Was Suge from the same neighborhood?
From the mob,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Suge was. He was guilty by association.
Okay.
He wasn't from the neighborhood. He lived in the neighborhood. We looked at him as somebody from the neighborhood. When he started Death Row and started to recruit us, then yes, he's from the hood.
So I guess there's a difference between living on a certain street versus being from the hood.
Yeah.
And how would you describe that difference?
I look at it, you have three different type of friends in the neighborhood. You got gang members, you got gang bangers, and you got men that just guilty by association from living in that area.
And can you tell me what the difference between a gang member and a gangbanger is?
A gang member hangs out. A gangbanger handles his business, put in work, do what the gang do.
And what was your role with Death Row?
I was the guy that if something happened, Suge would have you take care of that. Like Snoop Dogg trial, there was issues up there. I was sent up there to make sure those problems didn't happen again.
And are those problems, and I'm not asking you to get into specifics, but are those problems meaning issues with other people who might be gangbanging or might be trying to threaten folks, that type of thing?
Correct, yes.
And you were somebody that Suge relied on to be able to protect his roster of music artists and other things like that.
Correct.
And after you were asked to help out with Snoop, did Snoop have any other problems?
No, we didn't have one issue at court.
Now, I'm going to ask you, fast forward a little bit, to, were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes.
Would you say they were somebody you were in alliance with or a rivalry with?
Rival.
Okay. And would sometimes that rivalry get violent?
Anytime you're dealing with the gang life, it's going to be violence at any given time.
Are you familiar with somebody that went by the name of Tupac Shakur?
Yes.
How are you familiar with Tupac?
He was assigned to death row.
And when he was signed with Death Row, would he also hang out with you guys?
He hung with my brother now. Yeah.
And
Not me.
Who is your brother?
Alton McDonald, Buntry Ave.
Did he went by Buntry?
Yeah.
Now, during this time, is it fair to say that Mr. Shakur had an issue with rappers from the East Coast?
I think Tupac inherited the beef between Suge Knight and Puck.
Okay, that was your perspective of it.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
And we all fell. Some of us fell victim to it because we allowed ourselves to be a part of the BS, should I say. And that was a situation between record companies, not gangs. So technically it wasn't our business. But when you had 20 men just fresh out of prison and didn't have a way of getting the things they wanted, getting a paycheck from Suge, we did almost anything and everything to get that paycheck.
Now, was there another gang that was associated with Bad Boy Records, the East Coast record company that Puffy had?
The only one I know of is Southside.
And did that escalate the tension between Mob Piru and Southside?
At the time, there was no at war, it was peace. And when the two record companies got into it, Bad Boy went to Keepy D now, and Suge came to us. So that intertwined everything, and we had issues.
Do you recall any instances that you were at where there were those issues manifested itself in terms of violence?
Are you serious? Don't ask me that right here. I can't say that on both sides. When each neighborhood met each other, there was a lot of tension. I'd say that.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about September 7th, 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in Las Vegas on September 7th of 1996?
Yes.
Why were you in Las Vegas?
To run the security at 662, we were having issues with individuals that said that they were coming for whatever reason they was coming for and to come to 662. My job was to not let that happen.
Similar to the kind of security you were asked to apply in the whole Snoop Dogg situation.
It didn't have nothing to do with Snoop Dogg. It was, everybody came, well, Suge and Buntry and them, his entourage, everybody went for the fight. My job and all of my people were there to make sure nothing funny happened at 662. So we were the fall guys. So if something happened, we was the one that's going to go to jail for it, prepared to do that. So nobody else was going to come up there and disrupt it in that manner. But if anybody remember that night, it was so many Metro and everybody there. No, neither side could have did anything. So it was calm, it was peaceful.
So when you say there's so much Metro there, you're talking about so much Metro at Club 662?
It was police all over the place.
Now you said you were there to be on the lookout for something. What were you?
You said I was on the lookout for nothing.
I apologize. You were there. You were there in order to ensure there weren't any problems. Is that fair?
To make sure everything was good.
And because you had heard there might be some issues.
Correct.
And what were the issues that you were concerned about?
Individuals coming up there creating an issue we was having with different sides of from what with Crips, period.
Yeah. So you were worried about Crips. Not worried. I'm sorry. You were there providing security to ensure that Crips did not initiate any violence at Club 662.
Not just Crips, that nothing would happen.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. And then when you were there, was Reggie Wright Jr. with you that night at September 7th, 1996 at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Reggie doing there?
Reggie's job was to watch me and make sure I don't get in trouble. Everybody knew how I was. So Reggie, everybody else went to the fights. Reggie was there to watch me with the people that was there.
And I'm guessing that you were not the only person there making sure there wasn't any problems at Club 662.
I'm positive it was 30, 45 rooms there.
And again, that was to make sure that there wasn't any violence that occurred at Club 662.
Right.
When at some point that night, do you learn that Tupac or Suge had been shot?
That night, yes.
Can you tell me how you learned about that?
Well, people was coming back and was explaining that Tupac and Suge just got shot. Everybody was in a uproar. A lot of people started leaving, trying to get over there on Cobalt. We couldn't leave because we didn't pay to do this here. It wasn't too long after people started coming back, like Heron came back and went to the hospital. The majority of the people was leaving and then coming back because that night they said Tupac was going to be all right. And even Suge came back with a little bandage on his head. And we thought everything was good. People kept partying.
So, and when Suge came back, you said he had a bandage on his head, but
Yeah, the dude said he got shot, but he was grazed, a little scar, but nothing penetrated.
some people would describe being shot in the head, even
Well,
slightly.
he described it as that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's wrong.
All right. So when you find out, well, let me ask you this: was Reggie with you when you found out that Tupac and Suge were shot?
Yes.
And did it appear to you in any way that Reggie Wright Jr. was coordinating the murder of Tupac Shakur?
Impossible.
I mean, and I say this because you're aware that there have been some conspiracy theories that Reggie Wright Jr. is responsible for the murder of Tupac.
And it's so not true. His father was implicated, and his father had something to do with it. Reggie Wright used to be a police officer. And here again, I've been knowing Reggie Wright over 50 years. His daddy as a police officer. patrolling my neighborhood. He done took me to jail many times when I messed up. If Reggie killed Tupac, then death row is over with. Tupac was the money source. Tupac was that guy at death row. So Reggie would have had a problem if he would have did that. And Suge, I truly believe Suge would have opened his mouth if Reggie betrayed him like that. So people say what they want to say.
After that night, do you stick around in Las Vegas or do you go back to Compton?
Well, I stayed in Vegas and we left that morning because we knew we was going to have neighborhood issues, and everybody left and went back to Compton.
Why were you thinking you might have neighborhood issues?
Well, you asking me some. The issues that we was having was heated, and Compton was on fire at the time, and things were happening. And me personally, staying in Vegas wasn't worth it. That man in the hospital, it's time to go and protect your home front and be prepared for whatever happened there. You know what I'm saying? Like the other side was being prepared and was prepared to do things because Orlando got beat up in there. And that's something you don't tolerate. So you was going to get some repercussion from that and everything else that was going on. So living this life, you got to be ready. If you not, you might as well just lay down.
Now, you weren't there for the beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM, were you?
No, I was.
Yeah, like we talked earlier, you were at 662.
Yeah.
But are you aware of why Orlando was targeted?
I'm aware of a lot of things. Things that was going on. People ain't talked about it in 30 years. Today ain't one of them. I don't mean to be funny, but here's the thing. A lot of things happened that night. A lot of things happened weeks and weeks after that night. Me or anybody else bringing up the dead is wrong. A lot of people got hurt behind this situation in itself. Living the life and how we lived in Compton is one thing. You bring back all of the guys that made it, like me, I'm 61 years old now, to rehash and relive this situation again. I told every attorney in here that tried to get me to come here, you better treat me as a hostile witness. And I think that's where I'm about to go now, because you're asking me questions. I can't answer those questions.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Then I'm not going to speak on Orlando. Let me ask you something about yourself. There was a rumor that Tupac had knocked you out one time.
I'd have killed him.
That would have been your response if that happened.
Yeah, I'm being honest with you and everybody else. I said it on my podcast show. Him, Suge, and my brother. I'd have shot all three of them if he touched me. That's how I was living.
Why is that?
That's what I was back then.
And so, is it fair to say that your reputation and your standing in the neighborhood would require you to do something if you're going to get punked by somebody like Tupac?
You don't have a choice, or you can't be there.
Overruled.
I'm sorry. We're doing some side talking. No, that's my fault. I asked, that being in the life that you were, if somebody like Tupac is punking you, like by punching you in the face or something like that, you would have to retaliate, or you would lose your place in the neighborhood.
You would have to go back home and fight everybody that called you a punk. You would have to go. There's some rules that you roll with, and some rules you just got to handle. Certain things need to be dealt with, adjusted, living that life. And when I was living that life, it wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts. It wasn't no, oh, you get a pass. No, I would have shot him, to be honest.
So then you had mentioned, I'm not going to ask you to go into any specifics, but you had mentioned that after what happened here in Las Vegas, there were issues between the neighborhoods. How long did that last? Was it like, all right, one day we're good, everything's done, or did it last for longer than that?
No, it was tension in the air for quite a long time, until I guess both sides, and he might agree, just said, let that shit go, because it really wasn't our beef. This was between Suge Knight and QPD, and people put themselves in situations like myself. I'm guilty as everybody else. Like myself, I put myself in the situation to protect something and somebody that didn't have nothing to do with me. I did it for a paycheck. I did it on some just because. I'm older now. I get it. But we did things for all the wrong reasons at that time, in them days.
Court's indulgent. Your Honor, state will pass a witness.
Okay. Cross-examination, Mr. Stamps?
Sir, have you ever met me?
Excuse me?
Have you ever met me before?
No.
Have you ever spoken to the district attorneys prior to your testimony here today?
Once.
And is that what you're referring to is the time that you told them, like, hey, any attorney here is better treat me as household because...
Yeah, I told him I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Now, a couple questions for you, sir. And this is more for clarification. So on the night of the murder, you were working as the head of security for 662.
Yes.
Explain for us a little bit about the club. Was that Shook's club or was it somebody else's club?
Sure, to my understanding.
Okay. And when you were there as head of security, were you there, had you worked there as head of security prior to this particular night?
We did an event there once before. Yeah, same thing.
Okay. And on this particular night, was this an event like some type of fundraiser or something for police officers or anything like that? Do you recall what the event was for?
We wouldn't have been there.
Okay.
No.
What was the reason for the event?
It was Mike Tyson fight. Tyson was coming back. Tupac was supposed to perform like other people, and we was there for that.
Okay. Can you describe for us how big the club is so that we can...
30 years ago, a little bit bigger than this room.
So it's relatively, it's not like a two-story, it's
No,
not,
it's
you know.
small.
All right. And in terms of the club itself, you were there and you were sharing with us that there were other people that were there.
Yes.
Law enforcement as well as, I don't know, people from your side of town.
Oh, law enforcement was outside. The Metro would say, why y'all putting words in my mouth?
Sure.
They were outside.
Okay.
We were on the inside. Wasn't no law enforcement mingling with us.
So as far as you know, law enforcement wasn't hired by Reggie Wright to provide additional security?
No,
at
this was
Club
Metro
662?
posted up all over the place.
And so they were there specifically just to, like what, harass or just send a warning or what?
No, they were there. Like when you have events in Las Vegas, everybody knows. You're going to see Metro here, every block.
Yeah.
They was posted up, which they do all the time.
But you're telling me that as head of security, you do not know or you don't believe that Reggie Wright hired the Metro officers to come
I
in?
know for a fact he didn't hire the Metro Police.
Okay. Do you know how many people were on the payroll that night from your security team?
Well, y'all do paperwork different than we did. Our paperwork was getting cash money. Our paperwork was what they call under the table. We had at least 30, 40 of my homeboys there. Reggie Wright Jr. and his security, his company, the people work for him, didn't have nothing to do with what Suge paid us for working. So that was two different entities, Reggie and Suge. The homies was there with Suge Knight. Reggie Wright hired his company to watch over Suge Knight people.
Right.
So his security did like the right thing. My security did what they ain't gonna do. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
The police gonna walk you out of there. We gonna drag you out of there. So it was a difference, but not on the same paper.
Sure. And once again, the intent was to protect 662, right? To protect the club, protect the patrons that were going to go there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of your knowledge of what happened on that night, fair to say you weren't present when the shots had rung out.
No, I wasn't there.
Okay. And your testimony is that you had heard from other people initially that, hey, Tupac had been shot.
Yes.
And you had thought maybe other people were maybe relieved, thinking like, okay, it's not that big of a deal, he's gonna be okay.
That's what came back to 662. People that went to the scene, and everybody said Tupac was talking. So everybody came back to the club saying he gonna be all right. So people just went back to, mingling.
Right. Now, in terms of the that night, you go back to Compton. You live in Compton.
Yes.
You still live in Compton?
No.
At the time you live in Compton, you go back to Compton, and you tell us that there was a lot of tension. Can you describe that for us when you went back in terms of what kind of tension we're talking about?
You sure you want me to answer that?
I don't know, is it gonna be graphic?
No, I ain't gonna. I got to raise the word in it, but you asking me a question. I don't. And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison,
Sure,
even though we don't like each other.
sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and the way I am, because I changed my life. I'm raising my grandkids, teaching them never to be like their papa. And here I am explaining to people what I used to be. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. And you asking me questions that can hurt him. And like I told them, I'm trying to avoid to answer the questions that they might look at me and say, something is wrong.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me help you out with this.
Okay.
So these people right here, what they want to know from you is, did you see who shot Tupac?
I told you no.
Correct. So outside of that question, right, the next question I'm asking you is, when you went back to Compton, was it like a Southside Crip that shoots a Pyro Blood, and then a Pyro Blood shoots a Southside Crip? Is that the tension that we're talking about?
Do I answer this?
That's a straightforward question. It's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
When I was a part of that life, I was a part of that.
Once again.
And I was, no, because you asking something that's gonna hurt this dude. And okay, let me stop.
And once again, I want to emphasize.
When we got back to Compton,
Okay.
it was a gang war. People were getting hurt.
Okay.
People was being sought. People were looking for certain individuals from his neighborhood,
Okay.
as well they did mine.
Okay.
But Orlando, him, and certain other people were being sought because people wanted to kill them.
Sure. Were they the only ones that they wanted to kill?
Am I the only one up in here? No, they wasn't the only one.
Okay.
It's his neighborhood in particular.
That's right.
But they were the main subjects of a gang war. They was in the middle, such
Sure.
as me.
So you're telling us that people back home somehow had some type of information that said that that guy, as a bunch of other people, were involved in what?
In the murder of Tupac.
Okay, but my question to you,
Don't stop.
can you focus on me for a second, sir?
Yeah, I will.
And I apologize. I just want to make sure that we're clear, okay, for these people. in terms of that information, none of those people were there, right?
What people you be speaking on? The people that was already in the neighborhood, or the people that left Las Vegas that same night Tupac was shot to go home, bare their arms, and go to somebody else's neighborhood
Right.
to look for somebody? They had to pay it back.
So once again, my question to you is that the information that I'm asking about is the people that back home, you're saying were eyewitnesses to this?
How could people back home be eyewitness to something that happened in Vegas? No, that's not what I'm saying.
The people that were here in listen to my question, sir. The people that were here in Las Vegas, you're telling me were eyewitnesses to what happened and went back home. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you, the people that was at
Just
662.
answer my question, sir. Yes or no?
I can't
Is it
answer
a yes
that
or no?
without a what you call them. You trying to tell me to say something that you're not going to understand. If you let me explain to you,
No, answer my question.
I'm not answering nothing. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, focus for a second.
No, I am focused, very.
Focus on this. My question to you is this. You didn't know what happened that night because you weren't there.
I was at 662.
Right. Do you know who was that was there?
I know everybody that was there.
Okay, like who?
Talk to your lawyer, man. This dude is tripping. I'm not going to explain that. I can't answer that.
Okay, let me ask you this next question then. You are telling us that people back in Compton, for some reason, knew what happened here in Las Vegas.
A phone conversation. People found out when people left Las Vegas the same night Tupac was shot, went straight back to Compton. It only takes 3.5 hours to get home.
Sure.
Yes, it wasn't a problem for people to find out what happened. No problem at all.
They got on their phones, they texted people, they let them know what happened here on the night of the shooting?
Yeah. They had walkie-talkies, they had all kind of phones. They had ways to call people to say whatever. But when people left Las Vegas that same night, after they found out and got in their cars and went home because it was a situation, Pac was shot.
Okay.
Retaliation is a mug. Come on, man. Like, it was for real, for real. All of this was for real.
Now, the night of the shooting, did you have a walkie-talkie, a Nextel thing or something like that?
No.
Did Reggie Wright?
I don't know what he had. I don't know how much money he had in his pocket. I don't know what he had on his hip.
But you were the head of securities, but you're telling us you did not have any type
Reggie
of
Wright,
device.
right way security has nothing to do with the gang banging security, power rules, whatever you want to call it. They had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
The phones that Suge had for certain individuals, they had the phones. Like the guy that was bodyguard for Tupac that night. Like some of the guys that was at the Tyson fight, like Suge Knight. Certain individuals had phones. Yes, they did.
Okay, so, all right, I get what you're saying. You're not there, but you're saying other people were.
Yes, I'm saying there was a lot of people there
A lot of people were there at the shooting that took place.
that was in the entourage, yes.
Let's see. Okay, just one final question. You're here today, and I think the state had asked this question under a subpoena. You're ordered to be here today, right?
Yes.
In terms of that subpoena, for instance, is that's the only reason why you're here is because of that subpoena?
I don't have no other reason to be here.
Yeah. In order for you to get that subpoena, you were served that subpoena back in California
Yes.
by a police officer?
I don't know, he wasn't in uniform.
Okay. And that order required you to go to a court in California?
I had to go to court in Victorville.
And then that court in California said you have to show up here.
And in that court, I cussed them out and told them, you can't make me do nothing.
Right.
And in that court, they told me that I would be in attempted court. Me raising my grandkids, I'm not going to put my grandkids in the car and move somewhere so y'all can't find me. So all that running and living a different life, I ain't doing it. So I agreed to come. And like I explained to everybody in here, you ask me something, I'm going to be honest about. You ask me something I don't want to talk about, you're going to have a problem. Treat me as a hostile witness. You're not going to talk to me and tell me as a grown man what I have to do up here. I'm not finna send him to prison. You are.
So the accusation now is because of the fact that we're trying to ask you questions, you're blaming it on me.
You asking me questions. If I just like answer your questions, we gonna have a problem in here, a misunderstanding. And you're asking me something that wouldn't be good for him.
Right, and once again, I just want to, look, we're just trying to figure out who shot Tupac. You're telling us that you weren't there at the scene. That's all I want to know. At the end of the day, that's it, right?
Was I in the entourage when Tupac got shot? No.
Okay. Nothing else, right?
I was at 662. I mean, that ain't hard. That's easy math.
Okay. No further questions, John.
Anything further, State?
Jesus.
All right, we've got one more phase and then we'll let you out of here. Mr.
Okay.
McDonald. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing no hands, oh, we do have one. Okay, hang on one second. All right, I have a question for you from one of our jurors, if you can answer it. Did Reggie Wright Jr. instruct security to not have firearms the night of the fight?
To be honest, I don't know if Reggie Wright told his people, or the police officers, not to have guns, and I don't know why. He sure didn't tell us because we had ours. And that's the honest truth.
All right. Any follow-up based on that, State?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
I just want to clarify what the witnesses said. You're telling us that you had guns that night.
Yeah.
I just want to know. But you had guns that night, right?
Yes, we did.
All right, thank you.
All right, I know you didn't want to be here, but thank you for coming down.
Okay,
We
can I say
appreciate it.
something? I want to apologize to everybody, but I find this kind of funny. And truthfully, what you're going through, brother, is what you're going through. I didn't want to be a part of that, and I'm not a part of that. So I appreciate everything, and I apologize to all of you guys.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Have a
You are
pleasure.
free to go. State's next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State's calling Reggie Wright Jr.
All right, Jordan's investigating the burning smell. Anyone like smelling that? There's a burning smell? Maybe. Okay. If anybody's smelling something burning, it's a burnt bagel from back there, so don't worry, we're all. Okay. Are we able to? Is this good?
I think he was leaving them like that to swear, and then we'll turn them
Okay, perfect, got it. All right, we'll have you sworn then, Mr. Wright.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Reginald Lilburn Wright Jr. Reginald. Lilburn is Lil. B as in boy. URN. Wright is WRIGHT. And I'm a junior.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Paul, you may proceed.
Okay.
good, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Do you mind if I call you Reggie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Sir, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the city of Compton, California. I was born and raised there until about the age of 19.
And who is your father? Who's your father?
My father is Reggie Wright Sr.
And where did your father work?
He worked for the city of Compton Police Department.
And at some point, had he risen up the ranks of the Compton Police Department to become a lieutenant, is it, of gangs?
Eventually captain, but
Yeah.
during most of his career was a lieutenant.
Where did you ultimately become a police officer yourself?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
I was a civilian jailer from 1985 until 1989, and then I became a police officer from 1989 until I retired in 1996.
And why did you retire?
I received a medical retirement for I have vascular necrosis in my right ankle, but that's not why I'm like this. This is a result of COVID.
After you left the Compton PD or took your medical retirement, where did you next work?
Well, to be honest, my last year or two of being a police officer, I was employed as death row security, head of security, and also had a private security company.
Now,
Yes, sir.
can you explain to us what moonlighting means when you're off duty?
Well, moonlighting is pretty much just working off duty on your off duty hours, working for different companies. I worked for several companies. It wasn't just death row. I worked for trucking companies, doing security. Worked at nightclub, the Raiders Club, that was inside of the Compton Hotel. Worked several video shoots. Just extra money on the side for off duty.
Compton PD wasn't paying good?
Guess I was a little young and greedy.
Yeah. And then at some point you said one of the jobs that you had was moonlighting for Death Row, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us what Death Row is?
Death Row Records is a record company that was based out of Beverly Hills, California. And,
And who ran Death Row Records at that time?
a gentleman that I actually grew up with at elementary school, junior high, and high school by the name of Marion Suge Knight.
And when you say Suge, is that what he would go by?
I call him Suge.
So after you retired, well, actually, let me take a step back. As part of your role as a police officer in Compton, were you familiar with the different neighborhoods and the members of different neighborhoods?
Yes, sir.
Was that part of your job to know what areas were associated with what gangs?
Pretty much a job, and like I said, I started in like 1985, so kind of got familiar while I was working the jail, and it was something that was curious to me, being that my father was active with the gangs, and it was something that was intriguing to me as well.
So when you said you grew up with Suge, did you grow up in the same neighborhood that Suge grew up in?
Yes, about 2 blocks away.
Was that considered Mob Piru territory?
That's correct, sir.
So when you were growing up, were you familiar with the Mob Piru?
They came on eventually later. It was really a Looters Park, Piru area, but then, I guess when I was about in the 7th grade, which would have been like 1978, maybe a little later, 80, they started calling themselves the Mob Piru.
So they were Looters Park, Piru before, and then they transitioned to being called Mob Piru.
Yeah, we pretty much divided it, everything south of Rosecrans was mob, and everything north was, or the other way around. North was mob, and south were Looters area of Rosecrans Avenue.
Were you familiar with a gang called the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes, sir.
How were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Well, growing up in the city of Compton, we all played sports together, and heard of them when I was playing at Kelly Park, baseball, Little League baseball, at Compton Northern. Then my time in '85 as a jailer, and then working the streets of Compton as a police officer from 1889.
Were you familiar with somebody by the name that went by the moniker Keefy D?
Well, heard of him, had no personal interactions with him at that point, especially as in law enforcement. Heard of him, knew of him, but I had no personal contact with Keefy at that time.
So he was somebody that was on your radar, even though you had never met him or any had personal interaction with him.
Heard of him. He was mainly known as well, at one point he was known as a crackhead, but then later on he was known as a drug dealer. And I mainly was a gang guy, and didn't really enforce on the level of narcotics he was working.
All right, so then you had mentioned that after you had left the Compton PD, you formed a company. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. So, in '94, initially I was using a private security company because I was kind of in charge for security for Death Row called Code 4. But once I saw I was about to get retired, I opened up my own private company called Right Way Protective Services. And that didn't really get started until about 1995. But in '94, I was using another private company.
And who were your clients? Was your client just Death Row, or did you do anything else?
I had a couple of clients, like Honda of Pasadena, which was a automotive dealership, a dealership in Compton that they were repoing people's cars and they needed a car. But my biggest, 95% of my clientele was Death Row Records.
Now, tell me about that. What were you doing when you're saying you're security, or you're a security company that's working for Death Row Records or getting contracted by Death Row Records? What does that mean, actually?
It grew over a time period. In '94, it was just mainly just special events. And then I have a couple of off-duty or retired police officers hanging with the artists in '94. '95, '96, it got a little bigger. Had security at the office, at the recording studios, driving Mr. Knight around, two with Mr. Shakur, two with Snoop Dogg, Mr. Rodis, and other artists when they went to promotional events like that. So I could pretty much have about 10 officers working a day.
And when you say 10 officers, were the people that you would contract with or work for you in this world, were they largely off-duty police officers?
Off-duty or reserves or retired,
And why is that?
because they were able to carry guns concealed, where it's not exposed. We had exposed officers at the studio, but mainly the bodyguards carried their weapons concealed.
And we heard...
And for the training as well.
We heard from James McDonald just before you hit the stand. Was it fair to say that they were Mob Piru gang members also around Death Row Records?
That's correct. Mob, looters, West Side, generally Pirus from the city of Compton.
And are these gangs that are generally associated with the Bloods? Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And the Crips are, let me ask you, Crips and Bloods, are they an alliance or are they typically in conflict?
Typically in conflict. However, Death Row was a unique situation because one of their main artists, prior to Mr. Shakur coming to the label, was Snoop Dogg, who was a known Crip from Long Beach. And they all seemed to have a great working relationship prior to my arrival and even during my arrival.
All right. I want to ask you about Bad Boy Records. Are you familiar with a company called Bad Boy Records?
Yes, sir, I am.
And who, to your knowledge, was running Bad Boy Records in the mid-'90s?
P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Puffy. I don't know what name he's going by today.
All right. So we'll go with Mr. Combs for now.
Okay.
So Mr. Combs was running Bad Boy Record, and then who would you say his most prominent artist at that time was?
Christopher Wallace, Biggie Small.
Okay. And then was there tension between Death Row Records and the Bad Boy Entertainment label?
At what time period?
Well, you tell me. At any point, did tension develop between Bad Boy Records and Death Row Records?
Initially, when I was around in '94, there wasn't. However, some things happened '95 that started tension between Death Row and Bad Boys.
There's a famous speech that Mr. Knight gives at the Source Awards in New York in 1995. Does that contribute to it?
Yes, sir. That was August the 6th, 1995. But yes, sir. That was when he let the world know.
And then there's another incident where one of Suge's associates was killed in Atlanta. Is that right?
That was in September 25th, I believe. Yes, sir.
And then is it fair to say that your perception of as security for Death Row Records was that somebody associated with Bad Boy Entertainment may have had something to do with the murder of one of Suge's friends in Atlanta?
That was always the story that was told to us. Yes, sir.
And so, is it fair to say by 1995, the end of 1995, that there was significant tension between Bad Boy and Death Row,
Yes, sir.
and to the extent that it even involved violence with regards to Suge Knight's friend being killed?
Correct. That was the first time something escalated to that point. Yes, sir.
As security for Death Row, how did you handle this?
Well, we was always on some type of tension when it came to Bad Boys or going to the East Coast, which Suge and I continuously went to the East Coast because he had a lot of business. His distributor, the main distributor, was located out there. The big trade, like the magazines and stuff, was out there. So I can honestly say he and I, and maybe a few of his homeboys, went out there at least once a week, once a month, I'm sorry, during that time. When Mr. Shakur came home, we went down a little bit, but we were still going out there, but we didn't go as much.
And when you say when Mr. Shakur came home, at some point did Death Row sign Mr. Shakur to its record label?
It's debated how that happened, but
I'm not asking about the how. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
did it happen?
yes, sir. I believe he came home October the 12th of 1995.
Now, as security for Death Row, were you aware that Mr. Shakur was actually out on a bond, an appeals bond from prison from New York?
Yes, sir.
And I believe the allegation has something to do with sexual misconduct. Is that right?
Yeah.
If you don't know.
I mean, something like that. I wouldn't call it that, but yes.
Okay, whatever it was, there was some kind of issue. Mr. Shakur is in prison in New York, and then Death Row Records posts an appellate bond for Mr. Shakur.
They are some other companies, but yes, sir.
Okay. And then Mr. Shakur does he move to where Death Row is, or does he stay in the New York area, or where does he go?
No, I remember. I picked him up from the airport. Me and one of my security guys named Kevin Hackey, and we took him immediately. We went to Monty's restaurant and ate. Then we went to the studio, the recording studio that night, and from that point on, we got him into a room, took him to the Peninsula Hotel, where he stayed for, I believe, a month or two. Then he got a spot on Wilshire, and later on a house in Calabasas.
As the head of Right Way Security, which was contracted by Death Row Records, were you responsible for Tupac Shakur's security?
Yes, sir.
How did you handle Tupac Shakur's security?
Well, I had two guys that were primarily always assigned to him. One guy was a guy by the name of Kevin Hackey, who was with him a lot at the beginning. Later on, towards the end, a gentleman by the name of Frank Alexander was the one that worked with him as well. And then I will always have additional guys, like Al Giddings as one of them fill in for him when those guys wasn't available. But generally always had one security guard with him. After this particular song came out, in about May or June, we upped it to 2 security officers.
Now, you mentioned a particular song came out that changed how you handled Tupac Shakur's security. What song are you talking about?
It was a song called Hit 'Em Up.
And is it fair to say that in that song, Tupac is aggressively expressing his dislike for the members of Bad Boy Entertainment as well as other artists?
That's fair to say.
And as a result of that, you decided to change the security for Tupac or increase it.
Well, I was a part of the discussion and ultimately had to approve it, but I'm sure Mr. Knight, possibly Mr. Shakur, and maybe the security officer that was primarily with them, we all agreed that he probably needed another guy with him.
Were you aware during this time of a gang from Compton being used by Bad Boy Entertainment when they came to the West Coast?
We had heard those rumors and we were familiar.
And what gang was that?
Compton Southside Crips.
Now, the Southside Crips, that was the same gang that you had told us earlier that Mr. Davis belonged to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And by Mr. Davis, I mean Keefe D.
That's what I believe he is, yes.
Yeah. And then, was there ever a time where Death Row and you and whatever other unofficial security Death Row had a clash with Bad Boy and the Southside Compton Crips at all?
Yes, we had it at a Soul Train's Music Awards. I previously stated that Mr. Davis was with him, and I even think I might have even said that he was one of the ones close to the guy with the gun. Never said he was the one with the gun, but there's been out there, social media, where a gentleman has came out and admitted that he was the one that actually had the gun that particular incident by the name of C. Gutter.
So do you remember, well, I'm going to ask you what your independent recollection is. Tell us about that incident. So we're at the Soul Train, what is it, the Soul Train Music
Soul
Awards?
Train Music Awards, yes.
And approximately what timeline are we looking at?
April, May of 95.
Of 95?
I'm sorry, 96.
Okay, of 96.
I'm sorry.
And you had mentioned before the song Hit 'Em Up. Was this before or after the song Hit 'Em Up?
That was before Hit 'Em Up.
Okay, that was before Hit 'Em Up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us what happened at the Soul Train Music Awards.
We pulled in. Originally, we had an entourage of about 50 people with us, but they only allowed two cars of us to get back in the back parking lot because that's where they had all the setup and the motorhomes and stuff like that. So we drove in the back. Mr. Knight, Mr. Shakur, and a few of the outlaws was inside of a Hummer, and myself and Frank, which was Tupac's security that night, Mr. Shakur's security that night. We drove in behind them. As we was getting out of the vehicle, or getting ready to park, Mr. Shakur saw Christopher Wallace and Puffy and a group of people, a few guys that I recognized from the South Side, in that entourage. As they were, Mr. Shakur immediately became enraged and started yelling, and confrontation between Mr. Small, Biggie, and Mr. Shakur took place to the point where one of their guys brandished a weapon. And then that's when I pulled my firearm and towards him and begged with him, pleaded with him not to raise the gun. There was some security from the Nation of Islam there. They got in the middle of it, broke us up. The gentlemen took off and ran towards the street in the parking lot.
I'm sorry, who ran towards the street?
The gentleman with the gun and a couple of the people that was with him took off and ran.
Now, you said that Southside was providing that type of backup.
They were with them in entourage, yes, sir.
Do you recall whether Dwayne Davis was one of those people?
Believe he was. I know he was with them, but like I said, I don't believe he was the one with the gun.
All right, let's fast forward to September 7th, 1996, or that weekend. When do you come to Las Vegas for that weekend?
I came out that Friday. I believe that was the 6th. The Friday was the 6th. I think the 7th is the day.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I came out that Friday. So we had a nightclub that was in the process of being open. And out here, I guess, there's some type of cars that everyone that work around people that's having alcohol, I think they were called town cars or something like that at the time. I had to get all my security guards to have those particular cars for that night because the attorney that was assisting us in getting the club open said, hey, y'all got to be really on y'all P's. We got to have everything on point because if everything goes smoothly tonight, there's a good chance we're going to be able to get the permits transferred from the previous owners to Mr. Knight's name.
Okay, and so I want to stop you there.
Okay.
First, you're talking about you got advice from an attorney. Do you remember who that attorney was?
Yes, sir.
Who was that attorney?
George Calise.
Okay. And then when you got the advice from the attorney was generally telling you got to be on your P's and Q's, so to speak.
Yes.
When you're talking about being on your P's and Q's so that the club can be transferred to Suge Knight, was Club 662 at that time in Mr. Knight's name?
No, it was perceived that it was. People believed it, even because of the name change. Excuse me. But it hasn't officially been, the paperwork hasn't officially, it never was completed. It was never done.
Now, you talk about the name change. Explain to us a little bit about the name change.
Well, we had a sign and all of that called Club 662.
Explain to us what 662 means.
662 on the keyboard of your phone, it would spell out the word MOB, which means Members of the Bloods.
Well, nobody has keyboards on their phones anymore.
I forgot
get
about
you.
that.
And so the club itself, the name of the club itself rang out that it was a blood-affiliated club.
That's correct.
Now, what advice did Mr. Kalisis give you regarding being on your P's and Q's for that night in order for Suge Knight to be able to obtain approval for running that club?
So he advised, and the main thing that came out of that meeting was he advised all of my security guards, even though that they were authorized to carry guns, being off-duty police officers and stuff, that we shouldn't have guns on our possession inside of the club on that night.
So your understanding was, or at least the advice that you got was, inside Club 662, if you're working it for right-way security,
Correct.
you're not carrying a gun.
Yes, sir.
Did you communicate that to the people working for you?
So we had a meeting in Mr. Khalif's office. He said it. Mr. Khalif said it. My guys probably wouldn't have did anything if I didn't echo it. Today I can't say I echoed it and agreed to it, but I'm sure I did.
What you're saying is you don't have an independent recollection, but you think you probably did echo Mr. Kalis's advice.
Yes, sir.
And when was this meeting?
That Friday after they had all came from the town cars meeting, because I took them all to Fridays, and we went and ate at Fridays after that meeting. So it was that Friday.
Okay. And then so the process was with your folks, people working with you, was that they had to get their TAM cards or whatever temporary work cards required to do the work that you needed them to do at 662. Then have a meeting with the attorney. The attorney tells them, hey, we're trying to get this club transferred to Suge's name. Let's keep it clean and don't carry a firearm.
That's correct.
Did you do anything else that night, Friday at all relevant to the events that occurred on September 7th, 1996?
The club actually opened on Fridays and Saturdays, but for some reason we didn't get a big attendance on Friday nights. But Saturday night, it was a different night.
So you knew that that night, September 7th, 1996, was the night that Mike Tyson was fighting Bruce Stockton. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was that part of the reason why you guys were going to have the club open because of that fight?
Those were the only times the club, under Mr. Knight, the Club 662 banner, we only did that about 3 times. And that would have been the 4th time. And so we only opened those 4 times, those the Friday and the Saturday, and then we did it one more time where Mr. Shakur and Snoop Dogg did a St. Ives commercial, which was just a promotional private video shoot for a commercial.
Now, who was in charge of the security for Club 662 that night?
Well, ultimately I am, but I had a on site supervisor by the name of Al Giddens. He was actually who I consider in charge of the club, but ultimately as the owner I was.
And then we heard from James McDonald. He's suggested that he had a role in security as well, maybe different than your role in security. Were you aware of James McDonald being there at the club?
Yeah, James was a headache for my security. They hated him. But he and I, we've been knowing each other over 52 years, you know. So, I mean, that was like my brother. So, James used to do it as a hustle. What James would do is go outside, get guys that looked like they had a bunch of money, and bring them to the front of the line. And that drove my security crazy, but James was just out there working the door. Still gonna have a bunch of his homeboys to come and be on the lookout, you know, still, you know, blood related, Paru related, to be around. But James was mainly doing a little side hustle.
Now, in terms of as the person in charge, or the person contracted to be in charge of death row security, were you aware that Tupac Shakur was going to come to the fight on September 7th, 1996?
Definitely the plan. That was definitely the plan, and there was a reason that I knew he had to come, but that was definitely the plan.
Okay, well, tell us the reason why he had to come.
So we, Mr. Khalees, who he had something worked out, because that's why we had off-duty police officers. I don't know if they were off-duty, they were in uniform, so I don't know if they was working off-duty or they were on duty. But we had, my guys were responsible from the door inside, where the police officers were responsible for the door and the street traffic control and the parking lot. And so I guess how he got that approved was,
Well, if you're guessing,
Okay.
I don't want you to guess. Were you the person responsible for whatever event control or traffic control that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department did?
no, sir.
Were you the point of contact?
I was the point of contact for the club,
Yeah,
yes.
but you're the point of contact for the club. And then the person, is it fair to say that the person dealing with whatever traffic control or event control or population control, whatever it was that the attorney, George Gleason's?
He was the one that got them there,
Okay,
made the call to get them there.
okay. So you weren't the one that called Metro?
No, sir.
So anything that you would have said regarding that is just kind of you trying to put the dots together, assuming what that conversation might have been.
And the only reason I say that because I knew we promoted it as a benefit for a retired boxer, for a police, he was a retired police officer that was promoting or had something to do with boxing for youth or something like that.
So that kind of is adding to the P's and Q's that would make Mr. Knight look better when the transfer of, when they're trying to transfer this club, hey, we're also holding a benefit.
That and also Mr. Shakur was trying to work off some community service hours that he needed. I don't know how they made it happen in LA County.
And so Mr. Shakur was scheduled to perform that night at Club 662, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so you're telling us that it was your understanding that Mr. Shakur performing at Club 662 at this benefit would help him accumulate hours for community service.
Yes, sir.
So when was Tupac Shakur supposed to come to Las Vegas?
Well, they always came up on that Saturday. I know that they arrived about 4 p.m. on that Saturday, but if they were scheduled to come out earlier or not, I'm not sure.
And then at some point, well, who's the security for Tupac that Saturday?
Mr. Alexander, but he was out there with me, getting the town cars and everything. Mr. Shakur actually rode up with, I guess, his fiance and a few members of the Outlaws.
And who are the Outlaws?
The Outlaws is a bunch of people actually, but it's a group of rappers that works with Mr. Shakur that he was trying to help get their careers going.
And was Malcolm Greenidge one of the members of the Outlaws?
Yes, sir.
And I think he goes by the name Edie Amin.
That's correct, sir.
And Qatari Cox, was he one of the members of the Outlaws?
Yes, sir.
And then Afula, and I always get the name wrong, but Mr. Afula, was he also one of the members of the Outlaws?
He was as well.
Okay. And you said Mr. Alexander was the person that's supposed to be working security, or the person assigned for security for Mr. Shakur, but that he was with you. So on Saturday, was anybody with Mr. Shakur?
No, sir.
And you had mentioned earlier that after the song "Hit 'Em Up" had come out, and that was probably, 3-4 months before this,
Yeah,
you had assigned 2 security officers to Mr. Shakur.
that's correct.
Where's the other one?
Well, that was Mr. Hackey, Kevin Hackey. He was scheduled to also be attending and writing, and that's who I actually thought was going to be with him, coming up with him, because he normally was with him. You know, him and Mr. Alexander, they kind of worked out who would be with Mr. Shakur. And for some reason, he didn't show up. He now telling me he had a late arrest, and he was stuck at the hospital all day dealing with an arrest.
So the fight night arrives. Where are you? Do you go to the fight?
I went to the parking lot of the fight, so it was kind of hectic to get inside, but also got a call from Mr. Giddings, Al Giddings, who was my supervisor at the club, and they was having some logistic problems, some problems there, and I elected to go and get things in order at the club.
So you get to the parking lot of MGM, see it's a little crazy, and decide to head over to Club 662.
That's correct.
And was Club 662, it was on Flamingo, is that right?
1700 block of Flamingo, yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, can I see Exhibit 2? I'm going to publish Exhibit 2, which has already been admitted. All right, actually, Mr. Wright, you're not in a position great for any of this, but there we have, can you see 662 up there?
I don't have my glasses.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
I got you. Permission to approach, Your Honor? Your Honor, permission to approach?
Oh, yeah. Let me move about the courtroom freely.
Thank you. You see clubs, there's a red 662 club on this map. You see it?
Yes, sir.
Is that accurately representing where Club 662 was?
Yes, sir.
So you leave the Las Vegas Strip and head over to Club 662.
That's correct, sir.
Was it? Did you handle the logistical issues at Club 662?
I guess. I'm sure we got worked out. Yes, sir.
And then was Club 662? Did you stay at Club 662, or did you head back to the Strip that night?
No, I stayed there the whole time until until I was contacted by some other individuals.
Okay, so we'll start before we get there. How was 662 super busy that night, or was it kind of less crowded?
The clubs generally didn't start getting crowded until about 11 p.m. I think we were there like 8:30. So it eventually got there, but I wouldn't call it super crowded at that point.
And then you said you were there, and then you something changed. Well, we all know that on September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot, and Mr. Knight was at least grazed in the head by a bullet. Did you find out about that?
Yes, sir.
How did you find out about that?
Two gentlemen, Buntry, true name was Alton McDonald, and a gentleman by the name of Neckbone. Well, his true name is Roger Williams, and his moniker is Neckbone. They came inside the club and came straight to me. It was like, Reggie, Suge and Pop just got shot down the street. I thought they were messing with me, because they like, where Reggie at, because I wasn't there with him. But then Mr. Khalees, who was standing near me, I guess he talked to some of the officers that was working out front, and he kind of verified to me that something happened. And then by that time, I see about 4 or 5 other units that were working at the club. They started taking out heading that way.
Now you mentioned two people, Buntree, Alton McDonald. Does Buntree have any relation to James McDonald, the person that testified before you?
That's his little brother. Yes, sir.
And then you had mentioned Neckbone, Roger Williams. Were these people employed by Right Way Security?
No, sir.
Were they part of Mob Pyro?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say, as we talked about earlier, that Suge would have members of Mob Pyro around?
Correct.
And while they weren't official security, would you say they provided a different form of security?
That would be a fair. Yes, that's correct.
So upon hearing the fact that, well, at that time when Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur were headed to Club 662, were you aware of their movements? Were you aware that they were headed over to the club at that point?
Not at that point. I hadn't heard anything. Frank hadn't communicated anything with me, and I just knew they would eventually get there. But no, I didn't know any movement where they were at or when they were coming towards our way.
Oh, you had said Frank hadn't told you anything. At this point, had Frank met up with Tupac?
Oh, I'm sorry. Frank was with Mr. Shakur since about 4 p.m. on that day, 4 to 5 p.m. on Saturday. He was with him all that day.
So he didn't drive out with Mr. Shakur, but he eventually met up with Mr. Shakur.
That's correct. Him and another gentleman who initially was with him by the name of Michael Moore.
And was Mr. Moore also a member of security?
He worked for Right Way as well.
Okay. And so then you have Mr. Shakur, Mr. Knight headed to Club 662. To your knowledge, were there other people headed over? I guess we already heard about Neckbone and Buntree. Were there other people headed over to Club 662 with Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur? On a driving over, was it more than one car, or were there a number of cars driving over to Club 662?
And I can only speak on what I know now.
Yeah. Okay, well, no, back then, did you know?
I just know who normally with them.
So after Buntree and Neckbone tell you that Mr. Shakur and Mr. Knight had been shot, and you seem to get some confirmation from the attorney, what do?
Me and Mr. Khalees and Michael Moore, who was with Mr. Shakur earlier, who got, his primary job was to work at the club. He and I jumped in the car with Mr. Khalees and headed towards the scene, where we were told Mr. Shakur and Mr. Knight was. However, en route, Mr. Khalees was on the phone, and we were notified that they were headed to UMC.
So did you go to UMC then?
That's correct, sir.
Now, taking a step back, did you see the car that Buntree and Neckbone arrived to Club 662 in?
Eventually, yes, sir.
And did you notice anything notable about that car?
Yes, Mr. Buntree, he had a Toyota Supra that was black, and he had one bullet hole to the driver's side fender.
Now, let's go back to, you're on your way back to, or you're on your way over to UMC. What happens at UMC?
Get there. Of course, Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur was in the emergency room. I didn't get to see Mr. Knight until about 3 hours later. I saw him, but there was a lot of people gathering. Yes, people heard what happened from the club. They started gathering there, and people were just starting to gather, and in the parking lot outside of the hospital.
Was Mr. Knight held at UMC for a long time, or like for weeks, or what happened with Mr. Knight?
No, Mr. Knight was released. I left prior. I don't know why I left. I left prior to him getting released about 4.
After all this, or sometime during this, Do you make contact with your father?
Yes, sir.
How do you do that?
By phone. I called him a couple of times throughout that night. Told him what had just happened to Suge and Mr. Shakur. You know, it's kind of stressful for me. Called him a few times that night
How are you calling him?
by cell phone.
Oh, you had a cell phone at the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there anything that you felt you had to relate to him in order to let him know what might be happening the next day in Compton?
Well, during that night or that early morning, I was getting information from people in the parking lot and around that, hey, you know, they got into it at the MGM with some guys from Southside Compton Clubs. And so I relayed that to him. Didn't know who the people were, just that they got into it with some guys from Southside. And I told him, hey, it's going to be trouble back in Compton.
When did you go back to Compton? When did you go back to California?
Yeah. About 2 weeks later,
So you were in town while Mr. Shakur was at the hospital.
the whole time he was at the hospital, and that following week as well.
What was your role while Mr. Shakur was in the hospital?
I had two guys assigned outside his door the whole time he was fighting for his life. And they were there just, we had problems with, I remember a candy striper tried to sneak up and take a picture of him while he was lying, fighting for his life. And we were just trying to keep people out. Of course, Ms. Shakur, his mother, was in charge, but just mainly trying to keep people out that she didn't want in or got her permission to come in to see Mr. Shakur while he was fighting for his life.
And then you had said after Mr. Shakur had passed, you stayed in Vegas for another week.
That's correct.
Why is that?
Well, I'm the one that actually received his ashes and had one of my security guys by the name of James Green fly back with the ashes and eventually delivered them to someone in the family. I believe it was the mother, but if it wasn't her, it was somebody that she authorized to receive the ashes.
Okay, but you weren't the person that delivered the ashes. You
James
just-
Green was.
You received the ashes and
Yes.
then gave it to
To
Mr.
James.
Ray.
Yeah.
You know, I want to ask you this just straight. Did you have anything to do with the murder of Tupac Shakur?
Absolutely not.
Um,
Orlando Anderson, the revocation hearing.
As a result of the beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand, were there any legal proceedings that involved Mr. Knight?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say that Mr. Knight was on probation at the time of the beating at the MGM Grand?
He was.
Actually, can we show 115? Actually, I don't even know that Mr. Wright can see.
We can take the computer up to him. I just have to open it. It'll go off the screen though if I take it off here. You want to do it on your computer so he can see it up close? And I'll play it for the jury. And I assume you want. You want the fight one, right? Yeah, I mean, yes,
to show it to you up close, Mr. Wright, while Mr. DiGiacomo shows it to the members of the jury. And Mr. DiGiacomo,
Before you said you want to start it?
yeah, for the record, this is State's Exhibit 115B at 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
Okay.
So here, just look here. Actually, before we start playing, Mr. Wright, have you seen the MGM video before?
Yes, sir.
It's fair to say you've seen it more than once,
Yes, sir.
and that partly because it was part of a revocation proceeding that involved Suge Knight.
That's correct.
Now I'm going to show you 115B, starting at 7:04. I'm clicking, 1 second, not just yet. I'm clicking right now. Is this the video that you've seen before?
That's correct, sir.
I'm gonna pause. Starting at 7:20. 7:20. Did you recognize the folks that were hitting Mr. Anderson there?
Hitting or kicking?
Hitting or kicking? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Who were they?
The gentleman in the white with the black hat on was
We'll try and coordinate this again. Oh, can you see it?
I can see it. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, then can you tell us the people who are involved in this?
That gentleman right there in the white is Buntry, Alton McDonald.
There appears to be somebody in a gold shirt. Who was that?
That appeared to be Mr. Shakur.
There's a person in gray on gray, looks like outfit. Do you know who that is?
The one that I saw that's right in front of Mr. McDonald right now is Roger Williams.
Okay.
I thought it was blue. I saw
Okay,
it blue.
maybe I'm talking about the wrong thing. You're talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna approach her.
Okay.
Show again.
Well, that's Mr. Knight, and then that's Mr. Williams.
And then, so you see Mr. Williams, Mr. Knight, Mr. Shakur. Those are the people that are evident to you in this portion of the video. Is that
That's
right?
correct, sir.
And then we have another video of everybody leaving. Can you see that?
See it, but
That's fair. That's a different question. Okay, I'm going to show Mr. Wright 115C.
and Mr. Shakur, Mr. Knight, Buntry, Mr. Williams. I don't see Frank yet. Okay, there you go. Mr. Alexander's the one with no sleeves on his shirt. And he's leading the pack now.
Did you see Trayvon Lane?
Uh, I don't see Mr. Lane yet. I know he had a hat on. I've seen him before. I don't see him right now, though. Let me look again. Frank. Mr. Shakur. I'm sorry, I don't see Mr. Lane.
It's all right.
I'm sorry.
Of course I will.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm going to just ask you to focus on the people leaving now at this point.
Okay. Right there, upper right. Yeah.
So you see him.
Yeah, he has the hat on. Upper right corner is Mr. Lane.
So you see him leaving the scene, but you don't actually see him during the.
Altercation.
You don't see him actually hitting
I didn't see him, no.
Mr. Anderson.
I didn't see him do that.
But he's with the group that's fleeing the beating of Mr. Anderson.
That's correct.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Proposed Exhibit 60. Do you recognize who that person is?
That's Mr. Lane.
Do you recognize the person in State's Exhibit 7? Actually, no, I gave you the wrong one. State's Exhibit 2.
Yes, I recognize him. That's Mr. Davis.
Okay. I'm going to show you the person depicted in State's Exhibit number 3.
Mr. Anderson.
And lastly, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 72. Do you recognize what's in that?
This is Defo J, yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move these exhibits into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted.
can you show number 6? Sorry, this is Mark 6, but I think it's 60. 060. There you go. Is that the person you identified as Trayvon Lane?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pohl, is this a, could you take it, is this a natural stopping point?
Yes, we can take a break.
Okay, I think we need, one of our drivers needs to come for a break.
Okay.
All right, so at this time, we're gonna take a recess. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected to this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected to the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll have everyone back here at 3:40. Please rise for the jury. For the record, the jury has exited the room. We'll be in recess. Mr. Wright, did you need any water bottle or anything?
I have one. Thank you,
You
ma'am.
got one? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, no problem.
And Your Honor, if we could just
Back on record in State versus Davis, C377407. Anything we need to address outside the presence? Mr. Santa, anything we need to talk about before we bring in the jury?
No, you're not.
Awesome. All right, let's bring him in.
Staff for the jury.
We're on the record and stand for the jury, please.
Did the party stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, would it be easier to look at the monitor on the witness stand, or are you able to see that better?
Pictures this size, I can see both ways.
Okay, all right. So you're now looking at State's Exhibit number 60. Who is that?
That's Trayvon Lane.
All right. And can Mr. DiGiacomo, do you mind putting up 62? Showing you State's Exhibit number 62. Who is that?
That's Mr. Davis.
You mind putting up 63? Showing you State's Exhibit 63. Who is that?
That's Mr. Anderson.
And then we had talked briefly about it, so I want to just show it. Showing you State's Exhibit 72. What is that?
That's the Defo chain medallion.
And we'll touch on that in a minute, but we were talking about the beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM. Mr. Knight was on probation at the time you had mentioned, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then after you guys got back from Las Vegas, back to the Southern California area, did Mr. Knight have a legal problem as a result of his alleged participation in that beating?
That's correct, sir.
And can you explain that to us?
They brought him in. Initially, they brought him in, they said, for a 30 test for, that he did with his probation officer. But while he was still in custody, they then added the charge of he violated his probation for assaulting Mr. Anderson.
So he's on probation, he's on video, at least what appears to be participating in the beating of Mr. Anderson. And so he is charged with violating his probation.
That's correct, sir.
And do you participate in any of the preparation for Mr. Knight's hearing on his probation violation?
With his attorney, Mr. Kenner, I attended several meetings, yes.
And then, are you aware of a meeting with Mr. Anderson?
That's correct.
Can you tell us about that?
So we met him at his attorney office, Mr. E.D. Fall. It was in Seal Beach, I believe, where his office was. And we met with him, the attorneys had an agreement where I guess they were going to make a settlement or something for and Mr. Anderson to come and testify on Mr. Knight's behalf, where I believe the settlement was for about $60,000 because some of the death row people had assaulted him, and some would say for him coming up and testifying on the behalf of Mr. Knight.
Okay, so just to be clear, prior to Mr. Knight's revocation hearing, there was a meeting with Orlando Anderson, the person who was beaten in that video. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then there was an agreement that $60,000 would change hands between Suge Knight or Death Row or some aspect of that side to Mr. Anderson. Is that correct?
That's correct, but that was made between the attorneys, Mr. Kenner, who was also present, and Mr. Fall.
Okay. I'm not saying that you're the person that did that. I'm just saying you were that.
I was at the meeting, myself and Norris Anderson, who was the general manager of the company at the time.
Okay. And then at that probation hearing, is it fair to say that Mr. Anderson said that Mr. Knight was just trying to stop the fight and not participate in the fight at all?
That was his testimony, yes.
Okay. And that was after he received the $60,000.
That part I don't know.
That was
I don't
after
know
the
if
agreement for the
It
$60,000.
was an agreement in place, so.
Okay, and then, is it fair to say that, the judge disregarded Mr. Anderson's testimony and revoked Mr. Knight's parole?
Objection is leading.
Sustained.
Well, did the judge believe Mr. Anderson's testimony?
So Mr. Knight was subsequently violated for his probation and received 9 years sentence.
And as a result, when Mr. Knight was imprisoned for those 9 years, who was running death row?
After about 4 or 5 minutes of his incarceration, I became the general manager of the company.
We show the death row. What do you call that?
A pendant.
Pendant. We show the death row pendant. Can you tell us about the distribution of death row pendants to various people that were associated with death row?
Mainly the artists received them, and then people, close associates of Mr. Knight, they were given out to different people for Christmas presents of 1995. Yes.
Were you aware of whether or not Trayvon Lane had received a death row pendant?
He was one, yes, sir.
And is it typically wore on a chain around one's neck?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, Mr. Sant, cross-examination.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, have you and I ever met?
No, sir.
You have a podcast, I believe, right?
YouTube channel that I talk on.
I'm sure you're probably anticipating the next question. In your YouTube channel, you have spoken a little bit about me, for instance, right?
That's correct. And you have spoke about me as well.
Yeah, so in terms of your podcast or YouTube channel, and once again, I don't think it was anything derogatory. It was more like you never tried a criminal case, or I think Hollywood-ass attorney. I think you had said something like that, right?
Well, you did about 10 interviews in the last 2 months, so I may have said something like that.
Now, in terms of your podcast stuff, it's fair at this particular point. At some point, you had actually instructed Keith that, hey, he can actually make money doing the YouTube stuff. Remember that?
It didn't go quite like that, but I did pass his number to a few YouTube channels after he and I had this discussion about doing something on my channel, but I refused to pay him because I'm not giving someone I believe is Tupac Killer money.
Sure. You had a interview with a Mr. Mogg. Do you remember that?
Detective Monk, yes, sir.
Was he a detective at the time?
He was.
Okay, so he's a detective at the time, and he sat down with you, and you had a conversation with him, and you basically told him that you had advised KPD about the, I don't know, how much you can get paid doing YouTube stuff. You remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Now, you don't remember that, or you don't believe that?
I remember Kevin Coffey, but to say you could make $5,000 or $10,000, I didn't have any conversation like that with Detective Malls.
Okay, so you don't know or you don't remember. I just want to make sure we're different here.
I remember meeting with Detective Malls. I know I am the one that started passing Mr. Davis' number around to do more interviews to get him to talk, yes.
Okay, so when you volunteered to Detective Mogg, KPD's number, you said, I set him up with a couple of interviews.
Correct.
And because I promised you, if y'all ever listen, I promised him I would, we talk bad about each other, but I'll hook you up. I'm kind of know all these YouTubers out here, and so I kind of hook people up with them. Quote, you want to make some money, N-word, unquote. And then question was asked by Detective Mogg, so what do you get paid for your interviews? And you respond, oh, I get about $2,500, $3,000 a show. You remember that?
That's accurate, so I might have said that.
Now, you also said $5,000. I got my F. He was crying about his taxes. You were referring to Keefe in that, right? He was crying about his taxes, Keefe?
I'm not sure.
I got him about to go blast him next week. He's getting $3,500. So they pay you because they get views. they get paid, man. YouTube, every million views you get about 6,000 to 10,000. And then,
That's the channel,
okay.
not the person.
And then once again, I'm talking about the YouTuber. And so if you do a bunch of them and you get 100,000, and they break them up into like 5 or 10-minute segments, and you can get a 15-second segments from me, and you get 200,000 people to view it, you can make $8,000 to $10,000 off of me. And you just gave me 2,500, 3,000. You remember saying that to Detective Mogg?
I'm sure, those sound like accurate statements, so,
It's an
I'm sure I did.
And once again, it's clear to show that there's a business with YouTube, right?
That's correct, sir.
And so when you post something online, you're posting it online with the hopes that you're gonna get paid for that.
Yeah, and that didn't start until about 2021.
Sure.
Or 2020, yeah, after COVID, yes.
Now, with regards to your role here, you were the head of security for Suge Knight.
Correct.
And I wanna make sure I'm clear, where did you grow up in Compton?
I mean, my address is 1628 East Pine Street, Compton, California.
Where's that at in terms of, because we're assuming, and you could tell this jury otherwise, that wherever you grew up or whatever your street was, you by default was part of a certain gang or color.
I never gangbanged. Always wanted to be a police officer growing up. However, guys that I grew up with, was in the sandbox with, played sports for, yeah, they were Mob Pyro's affiliate.
Okay.
Some police officers, some football players,
Right.
several type of people grew up in our community.
And at some point, you get yourself out of it, you become a police officer.
I never was in it.
Okay. All right, thank you for correcting me. You become a police officer for about 5 years?
90 to 96, 6 years, yeah.
6 years, and you have to retire medically.
Correct.
And you had shared with us earlier that you created this security company, you were moonlighting, sort of doing your job during the day and then doing this other side hustle at night.
That's accurate.
And that side hustle became your full-time gig when you were no longer a police officer.
That's correct, sir.
And so in terms of who you were, the main service you provided services for would have been Death Row Records.
95%, that's correct, sir.
And in essence, I mean, was your number one client, right?
I agree with you.
Okay. And you spent a lot of time with Suge.
Eventually that grew, but yes. 94, not as much. 95, 96, yes, sir.
Okay. And you're providing services for Suge in terms of security, right?
For Suge or his
For-
company?
For the Death Row label.
That's
Yeah.
correct, sir.
And you actually had created a company specifically for the security aspect of it, right?
That's fair.
And that's the Right
Right way,
Way
protective service.
Protective Services, okay. Now, as you're going about doing that, you had shared with us a little bit about some of the things you had done. And you shared with us that, hey, there was something that happened at one of the award ceremony. You talked about that, right?
At the Soul Train, that's correct.
And you said that at that Soul Train incident, that my client was present when some other guy flashed a gun or something like that.
That's correct.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't your client, no, sir.
And once again, you're security, you're a former police officer. Did you ever report that incident to police?
They ran, actually, police detained the subjects outside the gate or towards the gate. What happened to them, I don't know, because I was more interested in getting my clients inside the war show.
And your father, just to correct my memory, is a lieutenant at the time with Compton? Or was he captain?
At that time, a lieutenant, sir.
Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
And his role and what he was responsible for was the gangs in Compton.
That's correct, sir.
So it would have been information he would have maybe picked up, or you would have told him?
That's what people get confused about law enforcement. Compton is a city about 8 to 10 miles away from, well, that's by USC is where this incident happened. That's about 20 miles away from Compton. And so Compton PD and LAPD don't share information with each other like people think in law enforcement.
Right, but you're talking about someone who's from Compton. You're saying that guy right over there who's from Compton
Okay.
was present at that particular event.
Wasn't a big thing. It was just a guy that was some guys that brandished a weapon.
Right, so in your mind, it's not about this idea that this is a gang sort of thing, it's just some idiot with a gun flashing a gun, right?
I agree with you.
Okay. And
But they
so,
were also protecting Bad Boys Records.
okay, well, we can talk about that in a
Okay.
second. In terms of your role though in your company, you, at some point, you obviously are now working with Suge, and there's this idea with Death Row Records that there may be sort of, you know, tension in the air. Was there anything going on during that time period prior to, you know, September of 1996 that was happening that was telling you, hey, I need to make sure that Death Row Records is protected?
You always had an element because of incidents when you go out to nightclubs, the party scene. There's always some issue,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And because you're dealing with someone like Suge Knight, and at that particular point, any of his other people that was working for him, like say the entertainers, right? You're talking Snoop, you're talking Tupac, that you would have adequate security to protect them, like say from fans and that kind of stuff.
I called it, my cell was to be good witnesses. Mr. Knight had just went through a situation with one of his artists, Snoop Dogg, that was on trial for murder. And they ended up beating the case. But they had got a large judgment, mainly because of the qualifications or the lack of qualifications of the security officer that was acting as security officer that shot him and killed the person. And so when you have a big company like Mr. Knight had, I thought it was best, and he thought it was best, or maybe his attorneys, I don't know, his label, that let's get some professional people around you.
And so for the most part, your practice was to hire people that were either off-duty police officers or retired police officers.
That's correct, sir.
And you did that because they were properly trained and you could trust them in terms of their judgment.
That and my cell was to be a good witness.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
But with regards to their roles obviously at the end of the day were to protect the people that were your clients. That would have been Death Row Records and whoever you assigned them to do.
As best you can.
Yeah. So in terms of what happens here in Las Vegas, right? Your testimony is you arrive here to Las Vegas and you're here on Friday.
Correct.
And you're here to get ready for what's happening on Saturday.
Friday night, the Coke Club did open. Like I said, it wasn't majorly attended, but definitely for Saturday night, yes, sir.
Yeah. And in fact, Tupac and Suge didn't arrive until Saturday anyways.
They didn't come up until Saturday, that's correct, sir.
And they drove up.
They drove up, yes, sir.
So they drove up, you're there, you're working, and you're at 662, right?
I'm at 662, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to show you here an image. I'm going to ask the clerk to mark as proposed offense exhibit next in order.
See, I think?
Yes.
See?
Yep,
May I put you on?
you may.
You recognize this?
That's Club 662, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And with regards to, I'm sorry, and with regards to that photograph, would that been an accurate depiction of 662 around the time period that we talked about here?
I agree with you, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, let's get this one. Your Honor, at this point, I move for the admission of proposed offense exhibit C.
Any objections, state?
Nope.
So admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
I'll show this to the jury here real quick. So this is a picture of 662. Now, you had shared with us a little bit about what was happening on Saturday night. Attorney basically says, hey, if we really want to get this club, I guess, passed in terms of its licensing, maybe we do something that helps the community, or at least does an outreach. Is that what we're doing?
I think that was mainly to get the police officers there.
Okay. And with regards to that particular night and so forth, you said it's something to do with boxing. This is a Barry's boxing benefit. Is that what that was?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. So this picture would have been taken pretty much at the time of when this event had gone down in September of 1996.
I believe that night or
Yeah.
that week, yes, sir.
And with regards to Barry's boxing, do you know anything about what Barry's boxing is about?
Just that he was a retired police officer that was helping young kids in the area with boxing. That was about it. or, you know, association or a foundation to raise money for youth coming up, is what I remember.
So, Mob James just testified a little while ago.
Okay.
If his representation was there was no event like that was happening in September of 1996, would he be wrong?
Let me just say this, they don't be in the know like that, you know. We're not as transparent as maybe we should be with, you know, the homeboys.
I mean, but obviously this is sitting on the front sign of the entrance going into the facility, right?
I went in that club that night, and I ain't never noticed that.
Well, let me ask you this though, in terms of what was happening, was Mob James the head of security that night?
So James' responsibility is, he had a lot of juice with the homeboys. And they have something they call Code Red, where everybody come out and support each other. And James was that person that, you know, Suge looked to, even during the Snoop trial, when Snoop was having problems with his homeboys, coming up there, you know, messing with him and stuff. They were hired to be outside the courthouse to keep them away. And that was James' role. So, and James was with Suge at the beginning. And quite frankly, he might be a little upset that my guys kind of took a lot of their roles or their responsibilities.
Right, so on this particular night, there's actually Metropolitan police officers that were they hired by you to be on the outside?
Well, I would say Club 662 or under Mr. Khalees and the person that was running the club, under their direction. I knew they were going to be there, but I didn't speak to anyone from the police department to say, this is how much y'all going to be getting paid. I need you to do this. I just knew they were going to be working from the door out.
So, yeah, okay.
Yes.
And really the concern at this particular point that you had, as well as I'm assuming Mr. Khalees as the attorney, is you wanted to make sure everything was going to go well for the club.
That's
662.
That's fair.
In
Yes,
essence, and to help Suge with passing of this particular club, right?
that's correct, sir.
So one of the things that had happened that you had shared with us is that Friday you meet with Khalees and you learn and you're instructed that your people are not to be carrying firearms.
Inside the nightclub.
Right, inside of the nightclub.
That's correct, sir.
All the way up until the time that they get to that door, they're not supposed to be carrying firearms.
Inside that club.
Are you aware that the Red Alert people from Mob James were all carrying firearms that night?
Well, I had problems with that. My guys were strict, law enforcement. They didn't care about, they didn't have a relationship with James and them, as I did. And so they would search them. And if they got one in, who knows? But there was always issues with them about being searched. But my guys would still, they were like, hey, if you want us here, we searching everybody coming to this club.
Right, so that was important for you, but Mob James says otherwise. He says everyone was
Okay.
fine.
If they snuck them in,
And
it happens.
And yeah, and with regards to your meeting with Mr. Khalees, once again, you're there, and do you have at that particular point any ownership interest at all in Death Row Records?
None.
So you are a separate entity. You are just the security company hired to provide security for Death Row Records.
My company, right where it was making money, but I also received a salary from Death Row.
Okay. So, and you're in this meeting, and once again, the meeting is to help Suge get this club approved so he can make it happen.
That's correct, sir.
And your job is, really honestly, is just somebody who's providing the security to the club.
On that particular night, but I'm more, some would say at one point, Suge right-hand guy. But my main focus was Suge Knight entities. It wasn't just the recording artist, wasn't just the record club, it was everything that Mr. Knight was trying to invest in at the time.
So you're telling us that not only were you providing security, but you're also like an employee for Death Row Records?
I was both.
Okay, were you drawing like a paycheck every 2 weeks as an employee?
I was, sir.
There wasn't no under the table stuff like Mob James would have been telling us?
We didn't do that, right, we didn't do that.
And with regards to Mob James being paid, you're telling me that he would have been paid the same way with employee checks and so forth from Death Row Records?
Bob James wasn't one of those employees. Like I said, he was just called on special events. I don't think James made his money by guys in the line that were ballers or shot callers or whatever that he would bring to the front of the line.
So, just drawing your attention back to let's say around 4 o'clock of Saturday, that Saturday.
Okay.
Where were you?
At the Luxor Hotel.
Okay, and did you ever, what happens after 4 o'clock for you?
I didn't head over to the club until, about 7:30. Got a call from Mr. Alexander and Mr. Shakur. Mr. Shakur was very upset that night because Mr. Knight, always late. And he actually took a taxi cab, I don't know if most people know, over to the fight because he was like, tired of always coming to the fight late, waiting on Suge, calling me because most people call me because they know I usually can get hold of Suge. And they used to have phones in the hotel lobbies back then. And I remember him and Mr. Alexander calling me, and he told me, and he got on the phone because he was so upset. We taking the cab over there. We going over there right now. We'll meet him over there. You know, he had the song was the interest for for Mike Tyson to enter the ring on, and he wanted to be there. And he got impatient with Mr. Light being late.
Now, up until this point, you had developed into the person that if you wanted to get a hold of Suge, they would call you, right?
In the streets, meaning when we out and about. He had an office staff, assistants, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Tesfaye Roy, that were in the office, but generally, if I call Suge, he'll pick up.
But with regards to you, usually you would have been with Suge in order for the call to be made, right? They're calling you and they're like, hey, where's Suge now? He's right here.
That's correct.
So on this particular night, Tupac is upset because Suge is obviously late and calls you.
His bodyguard Frank called, but he got on the phone.
Yeah.
You know anything about Mr. Shakur, he's a hands-on guy.
Yeah.
And he eventually just said, hey, you can't get a hold to him, we gone. And they took a taxi over to the fight.
And so you have Frank Alexander, you have Tupac, and no other bodyguards protecting Tupac that night.
Yeah, Kevin Heckey was supposed to attend, but he didn't. He wasn't there, and I didn't know that he hadn't shown up yet.
But you are aware at that particular point, Tupac was the most famous rapper almost in the entire world, if not the entire world, and you only assign one person and another person calls him sick?
He didn't call in sick, he just didn't show up. But, yeah, I mean, it wasn't unusual for Mr. Shakur to roll around with one guy and his outlaw guys.
But once again, you're telling us it's only Frank Alexander that's coming from your outfit, right?
That is correct.
And you also share with us that there's other people inside of 662 who are patting down the Mob James crew, but you can't send any more people over to be there for Tupac?
If I knew there was going to be an issue that eventually happened, of course I would have. I would have asked them to stay in the hotel.
Now,
If I knew what was going to happen.
You are aware that this was fight night, this was Mike Tyson, and that everyone in the world would show up to Las Vegas to be there for the fight, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, only if you believe that Tupac was somehow going to get into a fight or something along those lines, would you have provided more than just the one person? I'm just asking for your clarification.
I would have had an army around him if I knew something like that was going to happen, or suspect something like that was going to happen. But the gentlemen that were with them, and the ones that you seen kicking on Mr. Anderson, those were security as well.
That was whose security?
Death Row's staff.
But once again, let me make sure I'm clear. You, at this particular point, only have one security guard with all these other people from Death Row Records who are not security guards. They're all gangsters, mob high root people.
That I trust more than I trust my security. Yes.
So more than you would trust cops and off-duty cops and retired cops, you trust those mob Piru guys?
I do personally.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, after they go in for the fight, right? I'm assuming that Frank Alexander probably didn't have a ticket.
You know, that was always an issue with Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
He promised everybody that they can go to the fight. And when we get to the door, it's always an issue.
Right.
But one thing about him, he will get his, at least Mr. Shakur, one security in, if not both, and myself. He will make sure we got in.
Okay, so they all get in for the fight, and then for some reason, Bruce Seldon takes a phantom punch, falls to the ground in the first round within a minute and 45 seconds, right?
You call it Phantom, if you say so.
I'm just looking at the tape, right? All we got is a syringe. So he falls to the ground, the fight is over, they leave the fight, right?
Hyped up. You see him?
Yeah, and Tupac was very hyped up.
Hyped up.
So, did you get a call from Frank Alexander saying, hey, the fight ended early, we're on our way?
Not one. And that's normal.
Okay, and I want to make sure we're clear about the type of communication you had. So, cell phones, I'm not sure were available to everybody. You had one.
Pretty much everybody had cell phones, but they were expensive. He called me after 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't get it, but everyone else.
but I did have next cell phones. We had about 8 to 10 of them. They did dual jobs. My guys knew it better be emergency to pick up that cell phone.
Yeah.
But the two-way walkie-talkies on the Nextels, you could use them to call. That's how we communicated. On that picture with Buntry, you'll see one hanging out of his pocket. That's what the type of
Okay.
Nextel phones we had.
And so, going back again to what Frank has, Frank does have one of those radios.
He had one, but later learned, after we do Monday back quarterbacking and stuff, that it was dead.
So, he is there, he doesn't call when you leave the fight. Now, does he call you after the situation happens with Orlando Anderson?
No, sir.
They all rush out, right? They all go back to, I think, to Luxor.
That's correct.
But you don't know that because no one calls you.
Haven't heard anything. Didn't know it was an issue.
So you're still sitting over at 662, you're worried about making sure the club passes inspections, and you're there and you're waiting. In the meantime, people get picked up at the Luxor, and then they're transported all the way to Suge Knight's house.
I mean,
Once again, if you don't know, you can just
yeah,
tell me.
yeah. I just assume
You're not just.
yeah. I
You
don't
don't
know. I don't know.
Okay. Now, at some point, they're traveling down Flamingo, and the shots occur at that particular point, right? But you don't know.
Correct.
And so you're sitting at the club and you don't know.
I wasn't sitting, but yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you're working, right? So you're working, and your concern is making sure the club passes and that the club passes for Suge Knight. Even though his attorney's present, all these cops are on the outside, and you have the security proficiency of Mob James on the inside, right?
And about 25 to 30 of my guys.
And so, once again, yes, 20 to 30 of your guys.
Correct, yeah.
Retired police officers or off-duty police officers.
Correct.
And they're all there.
Correct.
And at some point, you get notice that Tupac had been shot, right?
I got notified. Correct.
Was it through the Nextel walkie-talkie stuff?
No, sir.
How did that happen?
Mr. Williams and Mr. McDonald ran up to me and told me.
Okay, none of your people, but two of the people that were associated with the death row people.
With the entourage.
Okay, and they're the ones who told you that hey, something went down with Tupac.
Correct.
And so at that particular point, what did you do?
Like I said, I didn't believe him at first initially, but we talking seconds now. Mr. Khalees somehow, verified that, yeah, something's going on. And then me observing a few of the police cars that were assigned at the working the parking lot or the taking off license sirens going towards that way made me believe that something's going on.
Now, did Suge Knight ever appear at the club and continue partying that night?
I don't know, but I have heard James say that before, but
What, just from your Monday night sitting down with your people and going over what should have been done better, was there any conversation or any way that you learned that Suge Knight actually showed up to party the night of the shooting?
the party was over. The party was over. They probably were still there at the club, but it wasn't like no partying going on, especially after people heard what happened. I can see that.
Now, we talked a little bit about the death row chain. Do you recall telling Detective Mogg when he visited with you that you sold your death row chain because of hard times?
I had a platinum one. That's correct.
Now, later on, when you're testifying in the grand jury, you remember doing that?
I still have my gold one, if that's what you're asking.
So, when the question is asked in the beginning about your death row chains, you never tell Detective Mogg, for instance, that it's a platinum one, right?
I don't know.
Let me
You
just
tell me.
Oh, sorry. So this would be page 21, counsel, of the surreptitious report or recording. So you say, question that was asked by Detective Ma, you were describing the chains as cheap. He said, he had asked you, got a $300 chain? Said, yeah, one of those cheap little chains because they were messing around with the same women and they got one and he got mad about it. My presumption.
We're talking about Kifi.
Yes.
Yes.
So what? What did expensive ones look like? Do you have a picture of those? And you said, yes, sir, I can show you the one that Tupac would have. And then the question's asked of you by Detective Mogg, did you ever get one of those chains? And you respond, yeah, I had one. And then the question was, what happened to it? And you said, shit, hard times hit. And Detective Mogg commiserates and says, yeah, I hear you. You said, I've got to get rid of it somehow. And then Detective Mogg asked, what did you get for it? And you said, I got about $5,000, right?
Yeah, that was the platinum one,
Okay.
or the white gold one. You can watch, and I'm sure you have, several interviews, pictures of me with my gold chain on. I wore them on several YouTube videos.
But fair to say, of course, that, when you said you had one, it's not one gold, it's not one platinum in this book, right?
Like I said, the one I sold was the platinum one.
Now, in addition to that, later on, when you're testifying before the grand jury, the question that was asked by one of the jurors was, and I want to make sure I'm clear because I don't want to mess up I want to be accurate with you.
Your Honor, I think this is improper impeachment or refreshing recollection. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here in the transcript to Mr. Wright before asking the predicate question.
Let me just do this as a refreshing of his recollection, Your Honor. I just didn't want to.
So it's sustained, so I don't know that he said he doesn't remember.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You were asked by a juror.
Again, I think you have to ask the substantive question first to determine whether or
Mr.
not.
Blog, you're gonna have to talk louder because your mic's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think you have to.
You
I
approach.
can stand. I apologize, Your Honor.
Everyone approach.
Sorry. Sir, were you asked this question by a grand juror?
Again, Your Honor, I think, again, you have to ask the predicate. He's trying to impeach and or refresh recollection about something of substance. You have to ask, procedurally, you have to ask the substantive question first, not what you were asked this.
Are you talking about the chain question?
Yes.
We've gone up and down about the chain.
And so I believe what he's already answered the chain things. I don't understand, are we impeaching or?
No, he's impeaching, saying that he's given an inconsistent statement in the past. So, overruled, he can proceed.
Do you recall being asked a question by a grand juror, do you still have your death row pending?
Correct.
And you had said, yes, you do.
I do.
You didn't say there was gold, you didn't say it was platinum, you just said, I had my death row pending.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, one of the other issues that we've talked a little bit about is and once again, I apologize. Maybe the state can refresh my recollection because maybe I was thinking about something else. You have been convicted of a crime.
I am.
And with regards to that crime, it was a felony.
It was sales of marijuana.
No, back up here real quick. It was sales of marijuana and it was also embezzlement. Is that what it was?
No, it was
Money laundering?
Money laundering.
Ah.
With money going in.
And with regard to those two things, that happened in California.
No, actually, well, the reason why I got in trouble because it went across state lines to Memphis. It's actually Memphis, Tennessee.
And because it was across the state lines, it was a federal case.
Correct.
And that happened way after you were a police officer.
Yeah, that's 2019, well, 2017, I believe.
Okay. And at some point, you become the general manager of Death Row Records.
That's in 1997, sir.
1997.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
So Suge Knight is in Las Vegas, and you were with them every single day, and in September of 1996, he just happened to get into this fray, and next thing you know, he's going to prison, right?
I'm sorry?
Let me ask you this. Why did Suge go to prison?
He violated his probation.
Right. So you knew, of course, that he was on probation, right? Before he came to
The
Las
whole
Vegas?
time I was with him,
You did.
from 1994, yes.
Yeah. And so you knew that the number one person from Death Row Records, the primary principal for you, potentially could go to prison if he got into a fight, for instance, right?
Correct.
And on this particular night, you weren't around for him when he was in this quote-unquote fight, right?
I was around with Mr. Knight about 70 to 80% of his life. So I guess a lot of 20%, I wasn't with him.
Okay.
Public, and when I say that, I mean public. Because a lot of times he laid up, sleep with somebody, and I wasn't with him.
So in the most important time of Suge Knight's life, of having your protection, you weren't there for him.
Unfortunately not, that's correct.
And then you became the general manager of Death Row Records.
By his calling, not anyone else.
All right. No further questions.
All right, State, any further questions?
Sort of clarify that last point. In terms of who determined who was gonna run Death Row Records while Mr. Knight was in prison?
The-
I'm sorry, who determined, who made you in charge of Death Row Records while Mr. Knight was in prison?
He did, and I visited him 4 days a week during that time while he was incarcerated.
Nothing further.
Anything further on that, Mr. Stamps?
Just one clarification. So
Okay.
Suge Knight made you general manager when he was in custody.
That's correct.
No further questions.
Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Of course, all right. All right, Mr. Wright, I have a couple of questions for you from our jurors.
Okay.
First, if they knew the cell phones were for in case of emergency, why wouldn't they call once the shooting took place? Why did you find out later in person?
Not sure, don't know why they didn't call me. That was Mr. Alexander's, responsibility, and I didn't hear from him. Didn't hear from him.
Okay. Was there anything in writing regarding the transfer of management power to you over death row records?
I wouldn't call it power, just, dealing with the day-to-day operation. The one that signed people, artists for him. I did everything for him. I dealt with his women, I dealt with his parents, I dealt with pretty much everything while he was incarcerated. And generally, because I was going back and forth, seeing him, the 4 days, I spent hours on the phone with him, and I was just his point of contact person.
So was there anything in writing regarding that?
Not to my knowledge, other than,
Okay, were there any witnesses to it?
well, there's a young lady sitting in here right now that I signed, while he was incarcerated to the record label.
There was a writing?
I'm sorry.
You signed some, what did you
You don't
sign?
sign her as an artist.
Okay. State any questions based on those answers?
Nothing state.
Defense?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so I want to make sure I'm clear. You become the general manager of Death Row Records, and what was your job responsibilities?
I did everything, to be honest. I brought Miss Shakur up to the prison to meet with him. I was helped talk to several, putting the albums together. When I met with Jimmy Iovine, who was our distributor at the time, negotiated deals with them. Everything I did was approved by Mr. Knight, but I was his point of contact.
Did you ever have a power of attorney signed by Mr. Knight to sign on his behalf?
No, what I would do is have everything generated, and I would send it. His attorney would come visit him on Tuesdays. If it was something real important, he would sign it on Tuesdays. And if I needed it before then, he was married to a young lady by the name of Michelle, or at least she thought they were married. And she was signed. She had the power of attorney to sign, but she didn't deal with anyone. And then we also had a rubber stamp that two of his female friends had to sign checks or to sign some contracts if they would take them.
So if there was anything wrong with the bank account, for instance, did you have to get someone else to handle that, not you?
I dealt with the bookkeeper, generated the checks, but his two female friends were the ones that stamped them.
And with regards to his two female friends here, were the employees of Death Row Records?
One was an artist, Michelle, and then the other one, Miss Hawkins. She was just a girlfriend.
Now, you are aware that at the time that Mr. Knight was involved in this thing that happened in Las Vegas and finally gets revoked on probation, that his record label was valued somewhere around, what, $500 million?
I heard 3, but
Okay,
it was up there.
all right, so it's a pretty significant asset, right?
Correct.
Now, out of all of this, you are the general manager, you have access to all of that.
I guess I was the one he trusted at the time.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You are excused and you're free to go.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's it for the presentation of witnesses today. We'll be in recess. We're going to come back at 1 p.m. tomorrow because I have a calendar in the morning. So I'm going to read the admonishment and then you're excused for the day. During the recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report of a commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll see you guys back here at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you.
Rise to adjourn.
record the troops exited the room. Is there anything we need to address outside their presence?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Not from the state.
No, Your Honor, I'll be asking the state for their witnesses for tomorrow, but I wouldn't imagine.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be in recess then.
Thank you.
See everyone back at 1 o'clock.